Archaeologists think they might have found the real Noah's Ark.
Well, hey, we made it to the top of Noah's Ark!
Yeah.
Well, Noah's Ark is in the news again with headlines proclaiming things like, researchers find compelling evidence of possible Noah's Ark remains in one country. Over the years, we've heard about several proposed Noah's Ark sites and always concluded that no, the Ark has not been found. Does this new study finally prove the archaeological find of a lifetime? You won't believe what they uncovered. One of the most familiar accounts found in the Old Testament book of Genesis was the story of Noah's Ark. Upon God's instruction, he built the ark to preserve himself, his family, and the animals of the world. According to Scripture, God decided to destroy the world with a flood due to regret over how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth. In the ancient Mesopotamian text, the Epic of Gilgamesh, a man named Utnapishtim is warned by the gods to build a ship and survive a global flood. Thousands of miles away, in the highlands of Peru, the Incas told of a flood that destroyed the world, sparing only a few on a floating cave. This mirrors Genesis chapter 8, verse 6 to 8, where Noah opened the window of the ark, and he sent forth a raven. Also he sent forth a dove, and the dove came in to him in the evening. And lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. In India, the tale of Manu mirrors Noah's journey almost perfectly, rescued by a divine fish and saved from the rising waters. Even in China, legends of Yu the Great speak of taming overwhelming floods and saving civilization. From the Hopi tribe in North America to Aboriginal Australians, cultures who never crossed paths still seem to share the same primal memory of a flood that almost ended everything. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 17, the Bible records God's chilling declaration, "And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die." This passage lays the foundation for one of the oldest and most debated stories in religious and cultural history. Anthropologists have found that nearly 95% of these flood stories contain common elements: divine anger, a single survivor or family, an ark or raft, and the renewal of the world. It is this global resonance that suggests these stories may not be mere myth, but a shared reflection of something real and devastating that scarred human memory. The book of Genesis, chapter 7, verse 11, even offers a timestamp. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. It describes a world shattered by flood, a divine plan unfolding, and a lone vessel filled with hope. Some researchers suggest that a massive flood around 7,500 years ago might be the event behind it all. Geological studies of the Black Sea region show a dramatic rise in water levels around that time, possibly due to melting glaciers spilling into the sea. Other theories speak of mega tsunamis or sudden regional floods that would have felt like the end of the world to ancient people. These events may have burned themselves into human memory so deeply that they resurfaced as sacred stories. And so the question remains, was Noah's Ark a miracle or a memory, a symbolic tale, or a surviving account of global catastrophe? As we journey further, the line between myth and truth begins to blur, and the answer may lie buried in the mountains. In 1959, Turkish Army Captain İlhan Durupınar identified an unusual boat-shaped formation while examining aerial photographs taken by the Turkish Air Force. This formation was located about 20 kilometers south of Mount Ararat, a region often associated with the biblical resting place of Noah's Ark. The formation measured approximately 538 feet in length, which is notably close to the Ark's dimensions as given in the Bible. According to Genesis chapter 6, verse 15, "The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits." When converted, 300 cubits is roughly equivalent to 515 feet.
You can look at the sides of the boat. From this angle, you can see more of those ribbed timbers.
Following the discovery, a joint survey was conducted in 1960 by Turkish and U.S. researchers. After examining the site, they concluded that the structure was a natural geological formation. Despite this conclusion, interest in the location did not fade entirely, and it remained a subject of informal research and exploration over the following decades. In the late 1970s, interest in the Darupanar site was renewed by Ron Wyatt, an American nurse and amateur archaeologist. Wyatt visited the formation and claimed to have found evidence supporting the possibility that it was the remains of Noah's Ark. He reported discovering samples of petrified wood, iron rivets, and large anchor stones in the surrounding area. These anchor stones, also known as drogue stones, were thought to be used in ancient times to stabilize large vessels. Wyatt's findings brought significant attention to the site, although many scientists and geologists remained skeptical. Critics pointed out the lack of peer-reviewed studies supporting the claims and questioned the scientific validity of the findings. They argued that the formation's shape and materials could be explained by natural geological processes such as erosion, mud flows, and tectonic activity. Despite the controversy, the Darupanar Formation continued to attract visitors and researchers. Its shape and size, along with its location in a region historically referred to as the Mountains of Ararat, have kept the debate open. Modern researchers have used techniques like ground-penetrating radar and resistivity scanning to further investigate the formation. Some of these studies have indicated the possibility of internal structures, although conclusive evidence has yet to be published. You won't believe what scientists uncovered beneath the surface. Evidence so compelling, it's forcing even skeptics to take a second look. Modern science has entered the debate to clear the doubts of skeptics. In 2021, a team of Turkish and American scientists began a modern geophysical investigation of the Darupanar Formation. Using ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, they aim to determine if anything beneath the surface might point to a man-made structure. The results were surprising.
I want to point out one other thing on this angle here. You can see this where the western side of the boat, it's about like a 20-foot drop.
Yeah.
GPR scans revealed a long corridor over 70 meters in length, with angular subsurface shapes that did not resemble natural geological formations. Electrical resistivity tomography helped identify unusual underground anomalies nearly 6 meters beneath the surface. These formations include right-angled features, compartments, and layered patterns that suggest a design rather than random rock formations. Some experts believe these right angles could represent internal chambers or bulkheads. Soil samples collected from within the structure showed significantly higher levels of organic-rich materials and potassium, along with low pH levels. These conditions are commonly associated with the breakdown of wood and other biological materials. Such results raise questions about whether the area once held wooden structures or remains that could have decomposed over time. The size of the Darupanar Formation has also been repeatedly measured, and its length has been reported as between 515 and 538 feet. This falls remarkably close to the biblical dimensions described in Genesis chapter 6, verse 15. The verse reads, "And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits." When converted using the standard ancient cubit of about 17.5 inches, the resulting measurement closely aligns with the dimensions found in the Darupanar site. In late 2024, additional soil testing provided further insight. Samples from inside the boat-shaped formation displayed evidence of marine debris and sediment layers that suggested exposure to water flow consistent with flood conditions. These tests also showed anomalies not found in the surrounding hillsides, implying the feature was isolated and unique in composition. In early 2025, researchers revisited the GPR data and identified what could be interpreted as a central tunnel extending over 13 meters in length. Several horizontal layers appeared consistent with possible flooring or deck platforms, again approximately 6 meters beneath the surface. These results were reported by Discovery Forge and shared across various online platforms, sparking renewed public interest. More than 30 large stones, shaped and pierced as if meant for suspension, have been discovered along the slope leading toward the boat-shaped Durupanar Formation. These are referred to as drogue stones or anchor stones. Some researchers interpret these as ancient maritime devices, used to stabilize large vessels during stormy conditions. Their alignment, spacing, and proximity to the supposed Ark site have intrigued many believers. However, mainstream geologists maintain that these are common to the region's volcanic geology and not maritime artifacts. Now comes the most surprising part. These findings align so closely with the specifications given in Genesis, it's hard not to take a second look. The Bible describes how Noah was instructed to build the ark. Genesis chapter 6, verses 14 to 15 says, "Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. These dimensions roughly translate to around 515 feet, closely matching the Durupanar Formation's size. Intriguingly, several villages in the vicinity of the site carry names that seem tied to the flood story. Places such as the Village of the Eight, referring to Noah and his 7 family members, and the Crow Won't Land, a potential nod to the bird Noah released. Echo elements found in Genesis chapter 8, verse 7. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro, until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Historical accounts speak of crusader crosses etched into stones, and rudimentary altars discovered near the site. There have also been mentions of ossuaries and even what some claim is the sarcophagus of Noah's wife. While no definitive authentication has been completed on these items, their presence adds to the layers of religious and historical interest surrounding the formation. Reports from Noah's Ark scans and other sources indicate that vegetation growing over the Durupanar Formation appears different from its surroundings. Grass patches display unusual discoloration, and plants seem to grow in a linear pattern, possibly reflecting buried structures beneath the surface. This is consistent with GPR and resistivity tomography scans showing angular corridors and rectangular subsurface patterns, some suggestive of ship-like design features rather than random natural erosion. With physical clues piling up and ancient names echoing the Genesis account, one question still lingers. What does all of this truly mean for faith, science, and our understanding of history? As researchers uncover clues buried beneath the soil, the Durupanar site continues to ignite passionate debate. Academic geologists, including Turkish expert Eşref Atabey and American scientist Lawrence Collins, argue firmly against the ark theory. They classify the formation as a geological slump block or syncline formed by natural processes like erosion, landslides, and folding of sedimentary rock. According to them, the boat-like shape is an example of pareidolia, when the human brain sees patterns that do not exist. Skeptics like Collins and creationist geologist Andrew Snelling emphasize that most of the evidence comes from unverified sources, lacking peer-reviewed studies. They say the rock formations inside the site do not show signs of deliberate construction and believe the attention surrounding the Durupanar site reflects confirmation bias more than credible science. Many geologists consider the materials at the site to be volcanic or sedimentary rocks native to the region, shaped by centuries of natural forces rather than human design. But supporters see the situation differently. New studies, particularly those from the Noah's Ark scans team, continue to reveal anomalies that challenge the natural formation theory. Ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography have detected symmetrical subsurface structures, angular corridors, and a central corridor stretching over 70 meters. These features are difficult to explain as random geology. One of the most compelling facts cited by Ark proponents is the size of the formation. More research is underway. Andrew Jones and a team of international archaeologists, in collaboration with Turkish officials, are planning further non-invasive surveys. 3D imaging and advanced soil analysis will continue, and there is talk of carefully managed core drilling to obtain samples from deeper within the formation. The Guardian reported that these next steps could eventually lead to a controlled excavation, if the findings warrant preservation. The Darupanar formation may or may not be the real Noah's Ark, but the story it carries is still deeply meaningful. Genesis chapter 7, verse 1 reads, "Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." Whether one views the ark as symbolic or historical, the flood story serves as a powerful reminder of survival, faith, and the search for truth in uncertain times. If the Darupanar formation truly turns out to be the remains of Noah's Ark, it could reshape how we view the intersection of science, history, and scripture. For believers, it would be powerful validation that the events described in Genesis are not only spiritual truths, but grounded in physical reality. It would reinforce long-held faith narratives and potentially strengthen global interest in biblical archaeology, bringing renewed attention to ancient texts that many dismiss as purely allegorical. For skeptics and scientists, the discovery would present a unique challenge, pushing the boundaries of what is considered historical evidence and demanding rigorous, peer-reviewed exploration. It might also encourage more open-minded investigation into ancient myths from around the world that share uncanny similarities. Regardless of personal belief, such a find holds immense cultural value and would stand as one of the greatest archaeological revelations of our time, bridging the gap between ancient faith and modern inquiry. What are your thoughts? Could this really be the resting place of Noah's Ark? Or is it just nature playing tricks on us? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating discoveries.